Okay, so during a traumatic event or situation, there's a stress response, natural stress response that occurs in the body. Now, in the animal kingdom, animals who have encountered predators and stressful situations will naturally, without thinking, will just naturally shake it off or do something to move this stress through their body and thus completing the stress cycle. Us as humans, many of us, most of us, weren't taught any of these tools. We weren't taught anything about how to connect to this in the body. So when someone experiences a traumatic event and this stress cycle begins, it can be very intense in the body, and the person then goes into flight, fight, freeze, or fawn mode to protect themselves, to shut down, to protect themselves from the threat. Now, this stress response has never had a chance to complete its cycle. So what happens is, many years later, this person has potentially been in therapy for decades, and therapy is a very, very important first step to cognitively work through this trauma. But you will see time and time again, people are stuck in therapy years, decades later, still experiencing PTSD in their body. PTSD is that stress response when something activates that. It is very fucking real. Like, you cannot tell that person to calm down. We know, looking at them, that threat is not here, that threat is not happening now, but their body is reacting as if they were in that same situation years, decades ago, because that stress response was never completed. That energy was never moved through the body. There's an incredible book that I know a lot of you already know, but I will forever recommend it, called The Body Keeps the Score. Bessel van der Kolk, I think his name is. He was an incredible, renowned psychiatrist who really dove into the link between trauma and how it is stored in our body. So we can talk through things that have happened, and like I said, that's a very, very important step. But the somatic work, the body work, is very, very different. And I don't know if you can hear that thunder. There's a beautiful storm happening. Love storms. But when this work that I talk about with pleasure, and I decided to do this video because this has been coming up on some recent videos. If you are trying to go into pleasure and you don't know how to safely be in the body, safely be with this energy that is potentially going to arise, then you're going to find that your body is reacting in the same way. Numbness, or this need to run, this freeze mode. It is very, very important, and safety is number one. Safety, safety, safety. Your body as a woman cannot open fully, and I talk about this all the time, if you have not created safety to be in your body. And safety occurs when you are able to release this trauma in the body from the past, right? The author of this book, he was seeing PTSD clients who had been through, war or very traumatic events. And he would talk them through this, and he'd been seeing them for many years, but he couldn't understand why their bodies were still, reacting in this way. And it was when he started to realize, okay, we need to address what's going on in here, that they started to experience profound changes. But number one is safety. Number two is any person that you go and see that is, somatic work, the body work. If anyone tells you that their way is the only way to clear your trauma and move your trauma, you need to fucking run. That is not a healthy trauma-informed coach, practitioner, or anything. There are many, many different ways that you can connect to and move this trauma through your body. There's the somatic work, there's breath work, movement, so many different ways, and different things will work for different people. But the key here is working with someone, or doing programs that are trauma informed, okay? And you can ask, don't be afraid to ask the person, are you trauma informed? Do you work with blah blah blah. Trauma informed means safety first, creating safety. And it doesn't matter how much, like if you've stumbled onto my page because you are frustrated that you're not feeling the pleasure, and I fucking get it. I experienced that my whole entire life up until my mid-30s. But if you are wanting so desperately to experience the pleasure that you want and you aren't addressing this trauma in your body first, your body is going to be protecting you. It is not going to be opening because it is holding on and it is stuck in this stress response cycle that was never given a chance to move and complete the cycle. Forget about the pleasure for now. Forget about the pleasure. Work on connecting to the body and creating safety. Connecting to your heart, allowing yourself to feel safe, to be in the body, to be with what is going to arise when you start connecting more deeply. That is the key. If you try and bypass this and push yourself into the pleasure because you want to experience the pleasure, you are potentially going to be doing more harm than good, because your body is still feeling there's a threat there and it's going to shut down. She's going to close even more. So it's about creating safety, allowing the nervous system to feel safe enough to open. And we do this by connecting with the energy of the trauma so it can complete that cycle and move. And again, there are many, many ways you can do that. Somatic self-pleasure is one of them, which is what I am trained in. So this is where, I know the word is somatic self-pleasure, but it's going into the body with whatever arises. Pleasure arises once you do this and free up the body. But there is not one right or wrong way. My number one piece of advice is you need to look for someone who, is trauma informed and focus on safety first. Forget about the pleasure for now, focus on safety. That is where your greatest pleasure will begin to blossom once you create this safety.